Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. It's Thursday morning, and we're going to try something different today. Dawnlight is on vacation with her family, thank goodness, and I'm so excited to support her in taking deep, self-loving care of her and her family. So we discussed doing a rerun of one of the shows that we really loved. And I'm going to do my best to try this with you. So I'll be here in the background, listening to and reading the comments, and I'll be replying. And we're going to try out a rerun. So here you go. Let me know how you're doing and what it's like. So here we go. Show. This is my beautiful and amazing and super special host, Miss Dawnlight. I'm your host, Miss Trish Wright. So I really like to remind you that every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. we share a couple tools or processes or techniques to help you
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show.
Oh.
This is my beautiful and amazing and super special.
I'm running all sorts of stuff in the background. Remember that every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. we share tools and techniques to help you develop better relationship with yourself and others through practices of self-love and compassion. Today we have a really special guest, Mr. Michael Dyer. He's an experiential facilitator and the author of the book Woke. His philosophy is change your perception, change yourself, and change your life. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
So glad you're here with us, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This week's topic is overcoming negative self-talk. And I'd really like to invite everyone who's watching live and later to really type in what the mind chatter says. What's your critics say? Like, I'm going to share a little bit about what mine says to me, especially something that came up recently that's really touching my heart. And I invite you two to share a little bit about that too. And type it in so we can see what you're working with, so we can connect to you and we can understand you on a deeper level.
Yeah, so we're really curious. How does this show up for you with negative self-talk? Hi, Lauren. Good morning.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Scott.
So there's this critic that's coming in my head right now. Like, over the last few days, I went on a really amazing date with a man who has really incredible qualities. Like, I don't know if I've ever been attracted to someone with very aligned qualities with me ever before. And unfortunately, there's something that I'm not one of those people who want to have kids, and he does. And so we chose to honor ourselves in this place, and I'm actually sitting with a lot of disappointment around that. Like, meeting someone who's really freaking amazing and meets me, and sitting with this place of like, oh my God, if I ever, here's the critic. You're super weird. You'll never meet someone as aligned. You're kind of meant to be the single auntie. Like, that's a pretty critical place. And I'm like, oh God, like, there's no one for you. You're going to be alone. That's a pretty critical thing that I'm like, oh, and it's painful to run this story. It's a pretty painful story to run. So that's my inner critic this week. Just this week. Don't get me wrong. It runs all the time. Like, shh.
I really acknowledge your vulnerability, Trish, because that's, how many people out there can relate to that feeling of aloneness that, especially with COVID happening, I'm sure it's amplified, because it's amplifying everything. For me, it's been showing up as, I just wanted to acknowledge that because it's a really, it's a painful thing to come forward and And I know that's not the truth of who you are, and that you're not alone. And I know you know that. So thank you for being vulnerable and willing to share such a raw thing for all of us, and especially live, it's big. And for me, it's the negative thing that always comes forward is like, am I ever going to get through this? Like the big changes in life. Like that's the, because I've had such a change this year with my career and like starting my coaching business for real, like doing all the things that I never had a chance to do because I was always so busy. And there's a part of me that has wanted to, doubt that it's actually here, and am I ever going to get through these changes? Am I ever going to be able to make it to the next level, of my life? And I know that's not true. It's like I'm in a process and I have to honor that. And there's that critic that wants to hound in my head and like make things hard for myself. So I just want to be real and own that.
Wow, that's powerful. I guess I should join in with this because everybody being all honest, being all vulnerable and stuff. As a man, I can't show no vulnerability. I got to show my strength. And yet it's in the vulnerability where you find the strength. So ladies, thank you for having me here. And thank you for being such a reflection of love and beauty and strength. For me, I call it negative self-talk, that voice, and constantly attacking me. Constantly. And so it's constantly making me doubt myself. And I asked myself, where's this voice come from? And I looked at it, is that when I was a kid, I did not care what anybody thought of me. I didn't care what you said about me. I just had fun. It was fun, and not until I began to hear the labeling and people start judging me, then I started saying, something must be wrong with me. And I think as soon as that thought happened, I began to just build on it. Something must be wrong with me. And then the world began to prove to me there was something wrong with me because I didn't measure up. I didn't measure up in school. I didn't measure up the way I look. I didn't measure up in anything. And so all of a sudden, these voices saying, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not strong enough. And I began to hate myself. Now, this is before I've done the work, but not feeling worthy. Before I start, though, Trish and Don, anything else you want to say?
Thank you for that. I just appreciate your honesty with the doing it wrong piece, because that's been a story of mine my whole life, from being harped on as a child, and abused, honestly, from my father. Like I had this deep ingrained story from the imprint that I do it wrong. So that shows up, and every time I go to do something, there's a built-in hesitance. And I'm breaking that down through a lot of self-love and healing over this journey of COVID and through graduate school, that I was able to dissolve that, and really like let go of that hesitance to make a choice, whatever the choice may be. It's like I found myself wanting to doubt whatever choice, didn't matter which way, A or B. I would hesitate because I immediately was approaching it from the lens of no matter what choice I make, I do it wrong. And that really resonates with me, Michael. Like, thank you for bringing that forward, because it has been my very deepest thing that my inner critic wants to say. And the truth is I don't do it wrong. It's all learning. It's all a learning opportunity. And no one does it wrong. We're all learning and growing. So it's so much freedom in that, to realize that you can't get it wrong and you're learning. Yeah. And I really want to acknowledge our guests on the show that are here, Lauren and Scott. Like, thank you, Scott, for saying that Michael's the perfect, person to be on the show today. And it's so true. And Lauren, I love you so much. What an incredible gift this time has been for calling us to slow down and devote time that which we have been pushing to the side. It's been calling us to live into our truth and into our values. And it is so true. Like, this time is like, we cannot shove anything to the side anymore. It's like, pull it all to the center and love all parts, even the toughest parts. Like, it's just so hard to love this part of myself. It's so hard to see this part of myself, but I'm going to devote that time and energy and presence to all of it.
Exactly.
So, all of it.
My beautiful mother shared that her running story, the critic says, I'm not good enough, which is interesting because that's something that Dawn and I have worked on a lot with me. A lot. The I'm not good enough piece is definitely, it could be, it has a ... after it, right? I'm not good enough to, you type it in, like I've ran that exact thought. And so it's such a painful story to run on yourself that it could be in the voice of a parent or a friend or some really like, emotionally fiery piece from a childhood experience or your teenage years, or maybe your boss, like there's these places that we attach to in the voice of someone else. Right. I'd also like to say that Heather Caldwell says that, wow, such a grounded presence you have, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a reason why we chose Michael specifically on this show, because he's such a beautiful expression of healthy masculine. And
thank you. Thank you. It's funny you're saying that because I never could see that myself. So it's funny that others can see in me what I can't see in myself. And you probably find that for yourself, that other people can see things that you can't see for yourself. And I kind of want to talk about that for a moment. I want to think about, I want you guys to ask yourself, when did you first begin to hear that critic? When did you first begin to start hearing that negative self-talk? At what point? Because I think at 1 year old, probably not. 2 years old, probably not. Maybe even at 3, probably not. At what point, did that voice begin to dominate and begin to start analyzing you and saying to you, like when I go back, I go back to when I was a kid. When I was around 6 years old, maybe 7, and I remember going to Sunday school. And my grandmother made me go to Sunday school, and I went to Sunday school, and I remember that the teacher had everybody to read a part of the Sunday school book. And I remember when she got to me, I was nervous, and as I was beginning to read, and I was saying, the Lord. He is my, and she said, shepherd. She screamed at me, shepherd, I shall. And all of a sudden, she said to me, boy, it's a shame you can't read. Boy, it's a shame you can't read. So I ran out of the Sunday school and I was crying going home. Mm-hmm. And that voice started repeating itself, boy, it's a shame you can't read. Boy, it's a shame. And all of a sudden now, I began to take on shame. Now, before that, I was this happy kid. Running around in the dirt back in Memphis, Tennessee, having fun. And I got that label. And then when I get to school, all of a sudden, I didn't realize that my clothes wasn't that great. My clothes were, old clothes, had holes in the bottom of my shoes because we were very poor with my grandmother. And then kids would make fun of me. Look at him. And I wasn't, I didn't measure up. So all of a sudden now, that voice saying, you should be ashamed of yourself. Now, even as a grown-up, I found myself feeling ashamed. I found myself looking for approval. So I want you to ask yourself, when do you remember, or do you remember when you first started hearing that critical voice? Take a moment.
Oh, Michael, it's so profound. Your voice is so powerful and speaks right to the heart. And I just really want to acknowledge that shame piece, because that's what comes after that critic, right? no matter what the language may be, the I'm not enough, the, you're not doing it right, the I'll always be alone, whatever the story may be, that immediate follow-up behind that is the shame of that. And like, it doesn't matter what it is. We all have carried shame over whatever the story may be. I've not let's just say that, or worthy, or whatever it is. And it's huge to acknowledge that and allow ourselves to let that go, like surrender that, because it's not serving our good. It's not serving the greatest creator that wants to flow through our heart and our voice and our mind and really beckon forth like the blessings that is meant for us, our birthright. So letting go of that shame and letting go of believing that negative self-talk is critical. And thank you for speaking to that, Michael.
Yeah, because the reason I was.
So I'm just going to lead us in our first tool for the day, which is.
We have something.
It's okay.
I'd actually
want
like
to
to say something about a pointer to something. I'd like to just point to the fact that Michael, you were saying, when do you remember it? And what, again, we're remembering it in language. So we start to create our realities based on the language that we're taught. So the language that we're taught on the playground, in our homes, in our school systems, or whatever our community is in childhood, is that we start to hear our reality and create it through someone else's language. So that's a big point there. Is like you're hearing these negative things based on someone else's thought process.
Give an example.
Who taught you to speak?
Right. I don't even know.
I taught my mom and my dad and the community. Those people taught me how to speak, which now means that I run a similar vocabulary. Similar vocabulary. It just is. So the filter in which we hear or see the world is through a filter of the language that we learned, right? So I know this is a little like, whoa, conceptual.
No, this is powerful.
About it a lot. Like where we learn, how do we learn language, and what does our reality based on? So in our adulthood, in the work that Dawn and I do, in the work that you do, Michael, is that we are learning to retrain our thought process around how we learned language, how we learn to communicate. That's why everyone's saying, it's the language and the words that you use. Well, yes, exactly. And the meaning that you've made about those words. So, and then I'd also like to point is that when we create a negative conversation, and this is totally my theory, when we create a negative conversation, it's because we're wanting some need met. So if I'm desperate to be in community and I do it wrong, let's say on the playground, and someone shames me for it, and I feel guilty, that it's my deep desire and connection of connecting and being community and being in that place of like being, in that place of connection and community. That's what I want. So it's me trying to find tools or ways of behavior to get my needs met. Right? Did that all make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to just drop in.
Okay, great. Yeah. Did anybody give you anybody come up with anything that do they remember when they first began to hear that voice?
So I'd just like to read a couple comments. We didn't have anything to be ashamed of until someone told us we had something to be ashamed of.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
It is true.
Shame is a taught behavior. My obsessive thinking is how I'm going to support myself from now on that I divorced. My obsessive thinking is how I'm going to support myself from now on that I divorced my 25-year partner. Crystal says, so I'm feeling like a mother failure. My daughter got exposed to COVID, and I don't know the best plan of action that has the least harm to her as she is in quarantine. As a mom, we're supposed to know the right course of action for our kids, and I'm confused what to do. I'm a wreck. My story is mom failure.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
And that voice,
right.
is relentless. And so giving out love to you because, I've been there where that I attack myself. And I attack myself for something I had no control over. And even though I think that I did, right? And it's like, it's ongoing. And what I realized is this, and I'm gonna give you a little story. When I first realized this critic, this negative self-talk, I was doing Vipassana, 10-day meditation in the desert. And we had to meditate from 4 o'clock in the morning to about 9 o'clock at night. And there's no talking, it's silent meditation. So every time I would go into meditation, close my eyes, all of a sudden, I'm hearing this voice, man, you shouldn't be here. You should be, you should be out there get your hustle on. You should be doing better than this. You can't do anything, right? This is not going to work for you. And it was telling me all this thing. And then it started telling me, well, you know what? You're never going to have a family. You're never going to be anything. And all of a sudden, I began to weep. And I began to say to that voice, why are you saying this to me? Why are you saying this to me? Now, there's nobody around. See, before that, I would blame everybody else for my feelings. I would think that, oh, that's the reason I feel sad because he said that, she said that because she left me. That's the reason I'm sad because of what they did. But then during that 10-day meditation, there was nobody around. There was nobody around saying anything to me. And at that moment, I recognized that it was my own negative self-talk, as you call it, the critic, was attacking me. And I didn't know what to do. And so in my head, this is what was going on in my head. So I started, as you notice, I was talking to the critic. Why are you doing this to me? So at that point, I became a victim of what? The critic. I became a victim of the critic in my own mind. How could that be possible? How is that possible that I'm a victim of my own thoughts? I'm a victim of my own thoughts and not other people? That blew me away. At that point, I realized it was an inside job. It was an inside job. It had always been an inside job.
Woo, hallelujah. So true.
So, and I went back over it. I went back because as a kid, I'm gonna go back and forth, but as a kid, on my report card, the teacher used to always write, talk and play too much. Every time, talk and play too much. Now, in a way, that was a bad thing, right? So over the years, I got beat down. So I stopped talking and playing too much, and I began to give people what they wanted. So what it is that program that I got a long time ago is still running the show. It's still running the show. How do we stop that voice? How do we stop that voice from running the show? And so, can I go into it a little bit, or you guys have any comments? Can I go into it? You guys have anything y'all want to say?
We're gonna move through the first tool, and then we'll jump on into your tool as well. So
okay.
Yes.
So yeah. So now that we've got everyone all worked up, we've got the emotions are flying. We've got people really following along. We like to give people an opportunity self-resource, and really drop into their heart space.
Yes. So I am going to lead you all through a process of self-empathy. So thank you for being present with what is on this show and, bringing all that emotion and all that inner critic language that's been coming forward. We've really stirred the pot today in a sense. It's all there for us to just really, it's rich. It's like fertile soil. So I just invite you to invite all that in. right here, right now, and take a really centered, deep breath into that place and into your heart, knowing that you always have all the tools inside to self-resource, to find that self-love for that inner critic that wants to tell you that story that isn't true. And we're going to dive into this process of self-empathy right now, right here, right now. So go ahead and take another centering breath. And this is what I like to call coming home to the heart of love, that it is inside of you. You are love. Love is running the show and always has and always will. That loving essence that's in you. So allow yourself to acknowledge what thoughts are coming forward, just like 15 seconds or so. You don't have to give it a lot, just a little bit. You already know because the language is so raw and so there. Thought or sentence. What is the what's there? I want to ask you to go a bit deeper, even further. Just allow yourself to drop into yourself, into your heart. What do you want? Honoring what you need. What's there? What is Spirit asking you of this time, through this learning of the inner critic, and what's really there? What is your need that is really there? Is it a need for love? Is it a need for connection? Is it a need for acknowledgement? What is it? What's that need that's really, truly there? That is spirit connected, not the inner critic. That's your true inner need. Be honest with yourself. Can the other people meet your needs or wants? And if not, how can you self-resource and meet your own need in a healthy way? If it's a need for self-acknowledgement, how can you acknowledge yourself right now that you're doing your best, regardless of the inner language? How can you give that part of you that has believed the story love? That part of you that has believed it's not enough, that part of you that believed that you show up in a wrong way or that you're not a good mother, how can we drop down and give that place inside that love that you are? So just breathe into that place and fill it with love, loving presence, loving essence. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you, Dawn. That tool is, that process, that technique is always so powerful. We run it every week, and yet it's just the core piece of giving yourself what you need so that you can show up for the deeper work for another person and for yourself. I really, this time got to the point, like with my own work, is that I really do love, and I'm driven by connection. That's what I want. I want connection and I want community. And that's high values in my life. There's nothing wrong with me wanting those things. And there's also nothing wrong with me not wanting to have kids. And it's okay to just honor the places where I'm at. It's okay to honor my feelings that it's sad. And it's also really, like, I chose to do what was right in that moment. And I'm really proud of myself. Like, I chose this honesty over desire.
It's powerful. Don, that's a very powerful process you just did, Don. I think it was a process that I think that we all need, because I remember having these suicidal tendencies, and I couldn't understand why I hated myself so much. And what I recognize is that see, that critic, it disguises voice as your voice. So sometimes you You think that you're saying it. You think that you're doing. You think like, wow. Have you ever done something? Ask yourself, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Have you ever had a thought and said, why am I thinking about that? What it is that I discovered that because the voice sounds so much like my voice, I think that it's me. But what I want to share with you is this. That voice may be a part of you, an aspect of you. And what I'm discovering is that for me, it was either my ego or my inner child. Now, my ego could be something like, hey, they don't like me because this, or, ego more based. But most of all that stands out for me is my inner child. Because that little Mikey had gone through so much, he was still holding on to that program, those labels. And so even though he's bigger and stronger now, and even though I'm bigger and stronger now, my inner child, I could never see that I'm bigger and stronger now. Something that Trish said to me earlier, like how that she admired me for all this. I was never able to see myself as being beautiful, powerful, strong, and amazing. Now, when I look in the mirror, why wasn't I able to see what Trish could see? Why wasn't I able to see what the creator who created me could see? Because what it is, for me, it was the program of what I was telling myself. So you may not be able to see your own greatness. You may not be able to see how beautiful you are, how sexy you are. You may not be able to see that. And you may have to own the fact, I maybe can't see that right now. But it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist because you can't see it. You may not even feel it right now, that you are valuable and that you're precious and that you deserve love. You deserve a life that reflects your greatest and your highest good. You may not even see it or feel it, but that doesn't mean that you don't deserve it. See, the whole thing about it is that with that voice inside, you have to determine, you have to ask source, call over. One thing I did, I said, well, God, I asked myself, God, how do you see me? I surrendered my image to God. Well, God, how do you see me? Now, it depends on what kind of God you created, because sometimes if you believe in the God that punish, you might think God see me as bad, mean, or whatever. But I'm going to talk about my personal experience. I asked my all-loving God, omnipresent, omniscient God, how do you see me? And I was quiet, and I allowed myself to be quiet. And if you want, you can write it down. I said, God, how do you see me? And what came up for me, God said, I see you. I see love. You are a unique and powerful being, expressing yourself in security and faith. You give unto earth of your gifts and your talents, and you recognize that it's your thing to give and earth to rejoice in it. It is your thing to share and earth to receive. You accept from earth prosperity, love, and faith, knowing that it reflects only what's in your heart. God, how do you see me? And I began to weep, because sometimes you can't see yourself, and that's okay. So sometimes you got to call on something higher than yourself. But I tell you this, you are divine. Whatever created you in its image, in its likeness. Now, we're not talking about the body. Yeah, the body, like Trish said earlier about, you can look at somebody's body like, oh, it's more, you're more than your body. And that's what we get. See, I believe that I was my body, and the body has, flaws compared to the world, because the world is always judging the body. I'm asking you to look past the body. Look past the body to something that's deep in you, and you know it. Something beautiful inside of you. Take a deep breath.
I also think that you have an amazing process that can help us do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And one process that I have that I want to talk about, if you had a mirror, I would like for everybody to get a mirror. If you don't have a mirror, then when you look look at it later. What I did was that I got a mirror one day, and that was my first exercise. And I looked in the mirror, and I said here's my mirror. I got my mirror right here. So I look in the mirror, and I said, I love you. I love you just the way you are. I love you just the way you are. I love you, Michael, just the way you are. And I heard a voice say, no, you don't. it started counting all my flaws. And I kept saying, I love you just the way you are. I love you just the way you are. And that voice said, no, you don't have any money. You broke. You grew up poor. I love you just the way you are. No, my man, I'm sorry, but your mom and dad abandoned you. I love you just the way you are. And I had a hard time doing it, and I was crying. I couldn't understand why. I had a hard time looking in my own eyes and saying that, because something in me said, you're lying. You're lying. Now, that first step is coming aware that, you know what? There's something in me that has not accepted itself. And so that first exercise, and it's a practice. I realize it's a practice because when you think about love, usually we define love as what somebody have done for you. We define love. I love you because, you guys say, I love you because you're always there for me. I love you because, you're so nice. But see, I'm asking you to have a love that's without conditions. I'm asking myself to love myself without condition, because I had built all these conditions for the reason I wasn't lovable. Didn't have nice clothes, didn't have that. And that voice was running the program, because that is the world programming. I was constantly seeking approval from outside of the world. So the world would never approve of me, so I must not be lovable because the world hasn't approved of me. So maybe if I become famous, then maybe if I get a lot of people to have a lot of likes on my friendship thing, if I have a lot of friends on Facebook, maybe that time to prove that I'm lovable. But that never is going to be enough. So what it is that you recognize first that I'm seeking love outside of myself first. And also I have to give myself a reason why I am lovable. No, hell no. You don't need a reason to be lovable or be loved. The reason you be loved is unconditional, because you're here. Because I'm here, that's why I'm lovable. I mean, just showing up on this planet is enough. Just showing up because you showed up. Because you showed up. You showed up. I can see it now. You're talking to God. And God said, can I get a couple of angels to go down? Can I get some angels to go down to earth? And you raise your hand. I'll go. Now, okay, when you go soul, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have challenges. You're not going to remember this conversation. You're not going to remember this conversation. So are you sure you want to go? No, I'll go. Okay, then. All right, well, okay, check it out. Well, I'm going to put you in a black body. Well, and black bodies is not that popular right now in the world. You sure you want to go? Yeah, take me. I want to go. Then you might be poor. You might not have a lot of money. And poor is when you don't have a lot of resources. And you grow up with all these programs. People might call you names, call you everything. You still want to go? Yeah, I still want to go. See, I'm not here to get love from the world. I'm here to bring love. You're here to bring love. You're here to be love. But first, we have to begin to love ourselves. We got to say yes. Yes, without a reason. You don't need a reason to love yourself. As a matter of fact, I would say to you, don't have a reason for loving anybody else. But that's a practice. We're not going to get it first because the world doesn't teach what I'm telling you right now. So what I'm asking you to do is just a practice, loving yourself for no reason, loving you just the way you are, and looking in that mirror and saying to you, that person, to that soul, I love you just the way you are, period. Yeah, but your nose is snotty. I love you just the way you are. Well, I'm poor. Yep, I love you. I love your poor ass just the way you are. Yep, but I'm not that smart. Yeah, I love your dumb ass just the way you are. To me, I love you. I don't care about circumstance, situation. I love you. I want you to fight for that person. Fight for that inner child. Fight for that little child in you, for that little inner child, that baby. Fight for him. Fight for him. But I'm not strong enough. Fight for him. I don't care. You start strong. I love you just the way you are. Now, then we're going to go to the next level, because at that point, when we begin to do that love, it's on. It's on. And maybe get to the point, you may have to just say, you know what? This is a kiss myself moment. Good job, Michael. Good job. And not look for approval from other people, because, they might at any given time. So the point is, that's your first exercise to do that. Acknowledging that that block is there. Is the second thing. Acknowledge it. And the mirror thing, the mirror will help you to acknowledge. And the practice of doing it, routine every day, loving yourself, visualize yourself. being loved. Journal, write down, how does God see me right now? A loving, powerful God who created me in his image. Write that down. You got to be relentless. You're going to battle, but it's in a way that you're not fighting the voice. You acknowledge that the negativity is there. You acknowledge the critic is there, but then love the critic. Let me say it again. Love the critic. Love that negative self-talk, because it's not there to hurt you. It's there to make you aware that you have doubt about who you are. It's an indicator. It's there for only reason to let you know that you can reveal more love, more peace, more joy. It's to challenge you to step up to the plate and knowing that I can love a little more in this area of my life. I can support myself in this area of my life. Because in the end, we don't get to keep these bodies. We don't get to stay on this planet forever. Every moment is precious. Every moment is precious. The point of power is now, and now is what I have. So love me now. Love yourself now. I love you. Take a deep breath. And I just want to say a little prayer. At this very moment, knowing that God is everywhere, all knowing and all powerful. At this very moment, I know that the loving hands of God is laying his hand on each person here, helping each person here to remember who and what they are. Remembering who they are and where they came from. At this very moment, remember you are love, you are peace, you are joy, you are powerful, you are divine, and that you are a blessing to the world. Take a deep breath. And you may say to yourself, say your name, Michael Dyer, am amazing. Michael Dyer is amazing. Michael Dyer is amazing. Michael Dyer is love. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for such a powerful tool.
Thank
for
you.
A process that we all go through and move through and really see, acknowledge, accept, and love the inner voice, the inner critic, to make friends with, to know that that place is a place where it meets some of our needs for something. It's a safety mechanism.
Thank you. I read the Course in Miracles. It said something very important. It said, there is love and there's a call for love. So if it's not love, remember it's a call for love.
Yeah.
So can you ask? And sometimes you can answer that call. Sometimes you can't answer that call. You know what I mean? Just like that. But it's a practice.
It's a breath by breath, moment by moment practice. And I just say acknowledge you, Michael. You are beautiful. Inside and out, like just a beautiful soul. And I acknowledge you for all the work you've done. And just, it's incredible to share the journey with you through the 2 years we were in graduate school together and now this experience. Like, incredible to witness your power and your strength and your courage and your vulnerability and who you are. You're, as an author now and a speaker, like, wow, your voice just resonates so strongly. And I know that you're going to touch so many souls out there that need this message. And I really acknowledge you.
Thank you. It's funny you say that. When I wrote the book, I didn't know what to say. And so I asked God, I said, I don't know, what do people want to hear? And then the Spirit said, write this book for your inner child. What would you want him to know? If you could go back in time and give him a book, what book would you give him? What would it say? So I created a book that has a workbook as well. So he can begin to work through and journal and write, because I realized that I had read all these books, but there was nothing to connect me with what I was reading. And so I wanted to create something to connect people with the reading. Like, okay, let me process after each chapter. Let me make a process. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying thank you for seeing me. But you can see me because I'm a reflection of you. And they always say you can't see what you're not. So the reason you see me so well, because you are a divine, beautiful, powerful woman, a soul that is enlightened, that whole life is based on service. That's who you are. You have been given your whole life serving because you know why you're here, to be of service. So thank you for seeing me. I love you.
I love you too.
I'd like to read a few comments that are coming in. Ravi says, I need to read Michael's book. And I just dropped a link into the comment box of Michael's book where you can find it on Amazon. I'm going to link his website as well. Just a moment.
Hi, Robbie.
So Peg says, the critic is just trying to protect us from something from the past. My mom says, we're our own worst critic.
So true.
Peg says, I love that I love myself for no reason. I just like to give everyone out there permission to love yourself for just existing. That's it. You are worthy of love for just being here right now on this planet, listening to the show, being yourself, getting up in the morning, drinking your coffee, going to the bathroom, like doing whatever it is that you do. You are worthy of just loving yourself. That's it. That's all we have to do on this planet. That's it. It's the only chore. Diane says, self-love, the greatest love of all. Perfect integration, love the critic. Perfect integration, love the critic. Absolutely. Ileana says, loved Michael D. Talk. Thank you. Love is an ongoing process and practice. Thank you, Love Coach Academy. Thank you, Diane. Oh man, what powerful work today, and how vulnerable we all showed up. Everybody out here and everybody in here. I really appreciate you being in your truth in this moment and sharing with us in the comment box and sharing with us here. Thank you, Dawn and Michael. I really appreciate how raw and honest you are and how connected and present. Like, I like that. That's so yummy. I'd like to drop in how to find Michael. Here is his website. Go ahead and check him out. All right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, it was something that happened in class. Don and I would say, USM, spiritual psychology, and we did a process. And this process that came through that really helped me to nurture my inner child. Sort of a chant came through, and I want to share with you because it really made a big difference in my life. And as I was comforting my inner child, I began to just sing to it, and I held myself and I started singing. Love rain down on me. Love rain down on me. Love rain down on me. And I'm free, 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 free. Love rain down on me. Hug yourself, everybody. Love rain down on me. Love rain down on me. And I'm free, 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 free. Hug yourself.
And
Love
Michael,
rain down on me. I love that. That song was given to me by Spirit.
thank you for sharing that. Oh my God, I have tears in my eyes because during that moment, Michael stood up and sang to a room full of probably close to maybe 300 people, and it started pouring rain. So it was like such a deep confirmation, even just from the elements, like how powerful that message is. And I have tears in my eyes, literally, because it's just so profound. So good. Love it. Love heals all.
Yeah.
I love that too. I'm a really big fan of singing my affirmations. I feel like it definitely it resonates at a different vibration in my body, and it's easier to remember. So instead of being like, oh, I got to remember these affirmations as a chore, but as something that brings a lot of pleasure to my body. I mean, I'm a pretty embodied person. That's kind of the style of coaching that I offer is embodiment coaching. And so hearing the resonance of your voice, Michael, and hearing the resonance of everybody who was singing along, including me, it was just like, that's how you shift the vibration in your body, is that you sing, you dance, you move those places, and you sing to your inner child and the spots that are still holding on to things like, oh yeah. Yeah.
That is so powerful because, sometimes logic doesn't work. So we have to, like you just said, Trish, you got to get down into the heart of it. And sometimes songs do that for me. It brings me back into, the moment. It brings me to the feeling tone.
Do you know the artist, the group called Beautiful Chorus?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar. I may have heard their songs before though.
Oh yeah.
You want to sing it for me?
There's a lot of them. It's actually they're singing. There's a group of I don't even know how many people, but they sing and harmonize affirmations.
Oh, wow.
Be here now, be here now, and it's really like their songs are amazing. I wake up to that's the alarm that wakes me up in the morning,
wow.
So that it processes my brain up. But I'm like, wow, Michael, you should reach out to them and talk to them about, doing some beautiful male vocals with them because they're stunning. They're stunning. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your affirmation and the song of truth in God.
Yeah, thank you. And, this is a healing for me. I think it was A Course in Miracles said, give what you want to receive. You want more love, give love. You want more joy, give joy. You want prosperity, give prosperity. So give what you want to receive. And so you guys have been a blessing to me. You are my blessing. You are my blessing. I thank you for what you have given me today. You have allowed me to open up and let the divine spirit pour through me. And by pouring through me to bless you, I was also being blessed as well. And a lot of times the gift that we give, sometimes we're giving it, but most of all, we're receiving it.
Yes.
So thank you.
I want to read a comment. Emmanuel says, Dawn's a miracle. Yes, I fully agree. Dawn is a miracle.
Yes, she is. She is the miracle.
You are a miracle. You both are amazing humans. Wow.
Love you, Emmanuel. Thank you for saying that.
Heather says, so good for me as a therapist to help process stuff. Thank you for the tools for myself and for others that I help. Yeah. Scott says, may love rain down on us all. Heather also says, I have a big smile and feeling my heart radiating out. Thank you all that were here during this time. Yeah. I'd like to give a really deep, loving offering of gratitude to you, Michael, for showing up with your full, authentic self, your vulnerable, loving, just beautiful, masculine humanness, and for sharing your work and your tools with us. I really appreciate you showing up in such beautiful presence. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And Dawn,
thank you for seeing me.
Oh yeah. From the second I met you, I saw you.
Same here. I see your light. I see your love. Thank you. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Dawn.
Dawn, I also really want to thank you for being the most incredibly aligned partner, business partner, friend, beloved that I've ever had in my life. Like, you've moved me mountains. so that I can see it. And I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I would like for everyone out there to really go out and tell somebody that you appreciate, you care about, that you appreciate them.
I really appreciate you as well.
Seems like there's
my internet connection has been.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Michael. And I think it keeps jumping in and out. So I love you both so much, and I love our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. And my internet connection is unstable, I guess. So
yeah,
I just wanted to say it's our pleasure to share this. It's our pleasure to share this with everyone weekly, because it helps us grow and it helps you grow. And that's the whole point, is learning our spiritual curriculum and lessons we're here to grow and learn through, and to really, become the master of self-love in what comes forward.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No matter what comes forward, to just love and embrace all parts. And I just thank you both for just such a powerful show today. I really acknowledge you, Michael, and I acknowledge you, Trish, for just the depth and the love and the support that you both. Internet.
Well, I'd really love.
I love the internet too.
I'd also really like to thank Love Coach Academy and Scott Thomas for hosting the Self-Love Show and for teaching compassionate communication skills so deeply for over 8 years. Love Coach Academy has been helping people better their relationships through training coaches and training people with nonviolent communication, compassionate communication skills. And it's a really profound training, profound tools, and profound coaching. They're high on my list. Love Coach Academy is a community of highly trained coaches that offer coaching sessions for individuals, couples, training in relationships, communication skills, and mentorships for those who want to dive deep. Check them out at lovecoachacademy.com. Yeah, they're really amazing. They have some really cool stuff dropping in the next few months, and I highly recommend that you check them out. And if you like what you see here on this show, please, share it out, tell people about it, watch, and even if you watch it again or have a replay, please drop a comment, and we'll go back and respond. You can check us out at the Self-Love Show. Guess what? We're getting a YouTube page, which is really cool and exciting. We're learning technical stuff these days over here. And if you really want a little bit more, one-on-one work with Dawn and I, we both offer coaching sessions, as well as we offer something really special. And we are offering a group called Freedom of the Heart. And that's a coaching group where we have 25 people in it currently, that we're building a community of people who can lean back on each other, as well as Dawn and I run deeper tools than we can run here. So deeper processes to help you move through literal mountains of work in just days. Our last call was really amazing. Our first call was really amazing. It's the first and third Tuesday of the month, and I really invite you to check that out, which I'm going to drop in the box right now. Let's see.
Hey, Trish, did you get a chance to tell them about my website, coachwithzen.com?
Yep, I dropped it in, and I can go ahead and tell us about you.
Oh, coaches, hey, you know what? I don't know what more I can say about myself. But I would love to do, anybody need any help, I do personal coaching, Coach with Zen. I'm an experiential facilitator. So I do more experiential approach, because I like for you to get it in your body, because that's how I learn a lot of times. And check me out on coachwithzen.com. And I look forward to being of service to anyone who likes my help to remember.
I also wanted to share, Michael is an amazing speaker. So if you ever need anybody for the stage, I highly recommend Michael right here because he's amazing. Got a really powerful message to share. So yeah, don't hesitate when it comes to booking a speaker. Michael's got it.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for stopping by, for watching, and for doing the processes. I look forward to hearing more about what you're up to and how this work is impacting you. Type it in the comment box, and we'll see you next week.
All right. We love you just the way you are.
Everybody have an amazing week. We love you.